First of all, I might just ask, we looked at the idea on Sunday, how God changes us. Did anything strike you in this reading as you heard it Sunday or as you have heard it this evening now? Did something stand out to you that maybe you've never thought about before? No? Okay. So here's what we're going to do then. We're going to look at the passage again, and I'm going to ask you some questions to make you think. And maybe it will strike up some thoughts. But the first 5 verses here, first 6 verses. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. I think I mentioned Sunday. Have any of you ever talked to yourself? You're in good company, because see, Moses even talked to himself here. It says, Moses said, I will turn aside. And all that was there was the sheep at that time, right? And the burning bush, God. But anyway, when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. So here is my question. Have you ever, some people have and some people haven't, probably more haven't than have, but have you ever had what you would say maybe a personal encounter with God? Has anybody here ever had where they, and in some way maybe heard audibly God or seen something that you felt like represented God? No? Okay. Joe, yes.
When my mom was very, very sick with cancer and I was 17 years old, and I prayed for her to be healed. And the day before she died, it was like God said, she's going to be healed perfectly. And I don't think I could have accepted it if I hadn't known. That just gave me peace. And then it was okay.
Yeah. And so that was going to be my next question, kind of, because I've never seen God in a physical way. I've never heard him in an audible way. But my next question, I think that fits right in with it, unless it was a physical sighting and hearing. But have you ever felt that God impressed on you something, some words of comfort or ease, or saying that it's going to be okay? And so that is a perfect, I think, example of that. We may not physically see him like Moses did in that bush. He may not have come to us in a way like that. But have you ever had that feeling that, hey, God is telling me this is okay, or God is telling me I need to do this, or go over here and talk to this person, or something like that? Yeah, so has anyone else experienced that? Wendy? Oh, okay. So he impressed on you to go to a church, and
I didn't have a church at the time.
yeah.
So I heard about the church, I came and I saw it, and I loved it, and that was in my heart.
Okay.
This is your church.
Yeah.
Strong.
Anyone else?
When I came here,
Okay, yeah.
And so I know that was, you don't hear it, but you just
No,
have
right.
that feeling, yeah.
And I think a lot of times it is just that, I don't know how to say it, but you just sense that or feel that. And we ought to be careful sometimes with feelings, but maybe you feel that little tingle or whatever it is that, Marilyn, I think.
Yeah, when Bradley, after his read, he was fixing to shut down because he couldn't get enough air because his aspirin had been too long. And so, when we were at Hendrix, I let it all out and prayed. And I walked out, and the nurse came in there and said, "We're fixing to take you for this procedure." So they did. We went into the family room, and Melvin and Linda, Dawn and Ella, and myself and Morgan were in there. And we had a prayer, and it was just like God was there with us. I could feel it. And Keesney was the one that was in there with us.
Okay, yeah.
And they opened the door, and they said, "Come on, we put him in a private room, help him roll up."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's pretty incredible.
it's moving.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else? I don't know if I've had that. I mean, I would probably have to think a little harder than what I did, but had an experience like that. But I can tell you, just the call process that a pastor goes through can be a pretty grueling process because you're trying to carry on ministry at the church that you are called to, and now you have this new call to another church, and in the midst of trying to continue on doing work at that church, you're trying to decipher and figure out what God is leading you to do. But for me, there was never a doubt with the decision that I made because I felt like it was not my decision. I mean, Stacy can probably attest this too. She would ask me one day, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "Well, I don't think I'm going to take it." And my stomach might churn all day long. And then the next day she'd say, "What do you think?" "Well, I think I am." And I would be at peace. And it was like it was like a roller coaster. But it was always the uneasy, the kind of the churning of my gut or heart or whatever, but that made that decision, because when I was just calm about it, when I was just at ease about whatever side it was on, I just felt like that's it. And so yeah, just those feelings of and sense that and in my mind that was being impressed on me from outside of myself, that's what God was leading me to do. So yeah, we may not have had a burning bush, right? Some sort of, and this is funny too. Who was I talking to just the other day? They said, "I wished I just had a sign that showed me what I was supposed to do." And that was, I said that the first call I got, and of course the congregation said, "Well, we can drop one in front of you if that's what you want." But yeah, sometimes it'd be great if you just had that physical sign to drop in front of you. But a lot of times it may not be quite that way. Anything else before we move on here? I want to read verses 7 to 10 now again. "Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, and the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now, behold, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. Come, I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." what is one thing that may stand out to you in those few verses there?
That he not only saw their affliction, but he heard their cries and he knew their suffering.
Yeah, I have the question here. What does this tell us about God? And it is that he knows, he sees, he hears, and he comes down. And I guess my thought is, have you ever been in a position, and I know all of us have you ever been in a position where you felt like you were going through something or something was going on in your life or something happened where your initial thought was, he's not here, or he doesn't care, he doesn't hear my prayer, or anything like that? Have you ever been to that point? And I think even though we might not say we fully rejected who he was, I think those little thoughts are tucked in the back of our minds at times, right? When we're dealing with something. Does he really care? Is he really here? And what is the answer to that? Yes. This is the one time that I said we have to be careful with feelings, right? Because our feelings can be deceiving. And if we feel like he's not here, what do we have to do? We have to know. We have to tell ourselves, no, he is, right? And I know that can be hard as well at times. But that is one area that we rely on our faith and the knowledge of knowing that God is with us. Because I'm sure the Israelite people, when they were in the moment of, or in the middle of their oppression and the Egyptians being harsh and mean and really treating them horrible, there could have been some questions, does anybody care about us? And the answer is yes, because even in the midst of that, God saw, he heard, and he knows. And so he's going to send Moses to rescue them. Any other thoughts on that? Or anyone want to share anything on that? All right, verses 11 to 14 then. But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" He said, "But I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt," I want to go ahead and say it now, "y'all shall serve God on this mountain." That's actually a plural there, and all the rest of the yous are singular. So what God is telling Moses, and what's fascinating about this, that is what they do when they go to Mount Sinai and worship. That's where this burning bush is. And when he brings the people out, they are going to worship on that mountain. And then Moses said to God, "If I come to the people of Israel and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' what shall I say?" So here begins, and we sort of went over them on Sunday, so I'm not going to go over all of them. But what is Moses' initial reaction? What does he do? He questions. And he tries to come up with all of these reasons and excuses why he is not the guy to do this. And so my question then is this. Have you or myself, have we ever used excuses to try to get out of something that someone wanted us to do, just in general? Yeah? Like a bunch of them? Like we could write a whole book on what we've used to try to get out of doing something? And then the next question is, too, in line with that, Because this was certainly a God thing here. Have we ever done that, come up with excuses when it was going to be sort of this legitimate call in our life to do something for the sake of God's kingdom? And I think we could probably say yes to that at times, right? That we are good at excuse making. So we just talked about this. Maybe it was not we, I and somebody talked about how why do we use excuses, and why do we? It kind of goes along the same line. Why do we use excuses, and why do we cut other people down? It makes us feel better, right? Yeah. And so sometimes in that excuse-making process, we're going to try to make ourselves look better than someone else. Like we don't need to do that because we're already doing something else, or whatever the case may be. But yes, excuses. Everybody has them, right? And so we tend to use them to try to get out of a lot of things. Now I know we do a lot of good things too, but sometimes we want to pull the Moses card and come up with the excuse as to why not. But here's the thing too. Bottom line, as we think about this theme, how God changes us. God certainly changed Moses, right? He initially was not going to go, and then ultimately he did go. It took a little bit of, I would say, persuading, but he did go. And I think I can say this in this specific situation. Every time Moses tried to come up with an excuse, do you know what God said? I will be with you. I will be with you. I can't speak. I will be with you. What am I supposed to tell the people? I will be with you. It was like I am is with Moses, and he is with us. So I would just say that too, as we live our lives. God certainly, I think, is continuously working on all of our lives. Certainly, he's changed us from headed to destruction to being forgiven and saved for eternal life. But I think it's a process too of him changing us to be the people that he's called us to be, to love him and to love our neighbors as ourselves. So I pray that we do listen to him and what he has in store for all of us, and even our church.